That morning when I walked into the office, my coffee cup fell to the floor and hot coffee spilled all over my new suede shoes from Macy's. But I didn't even notice because the scene I saw through the glass door erased 12 years of my life in a single second. My boss was sitting at his desk, leaning back in his chair, laughing with a young woman like they owned the world. Crystal glasses filled with whiskey sat on the desk, loose ties. And most importantly, that folder, a thick folder with red confidential stamped on it. Corners bent. My name was written on it. Margaret Cole. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst from my chest. My breath caught. My feet froze to the floor. And in that moment, that terrible, horrifying, freezing moment, I understood everything. He had sold me out. My name is Margaret Cole. I'm 48 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, in Silver Lake suburb. In one of those typical American homes, surrounded by white picket fences and manicured lawns. I do yoga in the mornings, go shopping with my neighbor at Trader Joe's, stop by Target in the evenings, come home, and FaceTime with my daughter Sarah. Sarah's studying law at Cornell. My brilliant, strong daughter that I'm so proud of. I divorced my ex-husband 7 years ago. It wasn't a betrayal, just an ending. I rebuilt my life on my own, without depending on anyone. A woman needs to know how to stand on her own 2 feet. That's how marriages are. You never know what will happen. That's why women should always have a career. So when the time comes, they don't depend on anyone. My job wasn't just a career to me. It was my identity. It's my pride. The reason I survived. I dedicated almost all my time to my work. For 12 years, I worked as product development director at Tech Vista Solutions, a mid-sized but prestigious tech company. The kind known in Silicon Valley, loved by investors. And the company's founder, CEO, shining star, Richard Campbell. Charismatic, smart, you could say handsome dark gray suits. Always perfect hair, always the latest model Apple Watch. He spoke at conferences. Made Forbes 40 under 40 list. He was 45 now, but still carried that sparkle. He knew how to take care of himself. Everyone loved him. I loved him too. With respect. With trust. I trusted him. Was I stupid? Yes. But I didn't know it then. For the past 6 months, I'd been secretly working on something. An idea. A big idea. A revolutionary software platform. A tool designed to help small businesses and independent light entrepreneurs compete with big companies. AI-powered, user-friendly, fast, scalable. Its name, VentureLift. I was developing it alone. Nights, weekends. My computer open, coffee beside me in the silence of my home, writing code, drawing drafts, building business models. You see, I'd given all my time to this project. I was so excited, and one day, just 3 months ago, I told Richard, because I trusted him. When I entered his office that day, sunlight was streaming through the window. Richard was sitting at his desk. He took off his glasses, gave me that warm, genuine smile. Margaret, sit. I'm listening. And I told him everything. My vision, my target audience, my revenue model. I opened PowerPoint. I showed him charts. I shared screenshots of the first prototype. He nodded, smiled, took notes. Margaret, he finally said, this is amazing. Really amazing. But here's the thing. My heart sank. What thing, Richard? Don't rush. Let it mature a bit more. In Silicon Valley, timing is everything. I'll help you. I'll guide you through the patent process. I'll introduce you to investors. But for now, take it slow. Trust me. Trust me. Now I understood how stupid I'd been that morning. As the coffee stains spread across my shoes, I heard Richard's voice inside. The glass door was half open. His voice came through clearly. Margaret. She's a good employee. Very loyal. But she has no vision. She'd be lost in the startup world. She needs to stay dependent on me for her own good. The young woman, curly-haired, in her 20s, probably an investor's assistant, laughed lightly. But what about the VentureLift idea? What if she really tries it on her own? Richard raised his glass. Ice cubes clinked in the whiskey. She won't. I control everything. I'm slowing down the patent applications. I've warned the investors. Nobody can survive in this city without me. Margaret doesn't know it, but that idea is mine now. My blood boiled. I couldn't believe I was hearing this. While I was confiding in a man I trusted, what I was hearing shocked me. The young woman looked surprised. "So you stole it?" Richard laughed. A cold, comfortable, self-assured laugh. "Stole? No, sweetheart. I just optimized it. Margaret's an ideal woman. I'm an execution man. She trusts me. That's enough." I pushed the door. Walked in, my footsteps echoed on the marble floor. They both turned. That familiar plastic CEO smile appeared on Richard's face. I was sure he was wondering if I'd heard what he'd just said, but without showing anything, Margaret. "Early for coffee today, huh?" His eyes dropped to the stain on my shoes. "You should be careful." My voice was flat. "Richard, we need to talk." "Sure, sure," he said casually, waving his hand. "But I'm a bit busy right now. Check my calendar this afternoon. Set up a slot with Joanna." The young woman looked at me with an embarrassed smile. I just turned around, left. I stood in the hallway. My hands were clenched into fists. I tried to breathe. A woman's heart doesn't break that easily. But when it does break, it never heals the same way. It heals harder, sharper, more dangerous. And this danger was going to be for Richard. I was going to make him pay for what he said. When I got home that day, I fell to my knees in the silence of my living room. My hands were shaking, but there were no tears in my eyes. I called my daughter Sarah. She knew immediately when she heard my voice. "Mom, what happened?" "Nothing, sweetheart," I said. My voice was ice cold. "I just realized some things need to change." "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm very fine. I love you." I hung up, then I opened my computer. I went through all my old emails, my meeting notes with Richard, every patent application draft one by one. It took hours. My eyes got tired. My back ached. But I didn't stop. And I found a file, a hidden folder, an email chain that Richard's assistant had accidentally CC'd me on. Asterisk inside were all the documents related to my idea, but now under his name, with his signature. Patent applications filed through his company. All my files were really registered under his name. I didn't expect this much. He'd actually done it. He'd stolen it. Not just my idea. My future, too. My honor. I'd given days, months to this project. And he'd stolen my months just by changing a folder name. He'd stolen my months of work with a 1-second action as dawn broke outside. I sat at my desk and made a list. A 3-column list. What I know. What I can prove. What I can do. For 12 years, Richard Campbell saw me as small, quiet, loyal Margaret Cole. But that night, that woman died, and someone he'd never met was born. The next morning. I didn't go to the office for the first time in 12 years. I never got sick, never took time off, never was late. But that morning, I put my phone on silent, closed the curtains, and sat at my desk. Richard called 3 times. Joanna, his assistant, left 2 messages. "Margaret, Mr. Campbell is worried. Please call back." Was he worried? No, because I wasn't worried. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just clear. Crystal clear. Like a fog that had been in front of my eyes for years had lifted, dots, sipping my coffee. I sat at my computer. In my quiet home in Silver Lake suburb, as sunlight filtered through the kitchen window. I was preparing for war. First step. Gather evidence. I arranged all the emails Richard had sent me chronologically. Every meeting note, every Slack message, every phone call record. I still had access to TechVista's internal servers, thank God. He hadn't removed me from the system yet, and I found a folder titled Project VLift Confidential. Inside were all the documents related to my VentureLift project. But the ownership information had been changed. Dates had been manipulated. Richard's name appeared everywhere. Creator, inventor, visionary, and me. I was listed as support staff. It's Margaret Cole, product development support. Support staff. I gave 12 years to that company. Every project idea, every innovation, every strategic plan I worked on at midnight became Richard's vision. And now I was just support staff. I breathed. Deep, slow, controlled. A woman sometimes feels everything. She just waits for proof. And now I had my proof. Second step. Legal consultation. One of Austin's best intellectual property lawyers was Sarah's former professor, Professor Linda Hartman. She'd retired but still did consulting. I made a call. Mrs. Cole, her voice said on the phone. Sarah's mother, how can I help you? I told her everything. The files, the emails, the patent applications. Linda listened, silently. Finally, she took a deep breath. Margaret, you have a strong case, but I don't recommend going to court alone. Richard Campbell is a big name in this city. He has connections, financial power. He'll tie you up in courts for years. So what do you suggest? Move quietly. Start your own company. Turn your idea into reality. And if Richard sues you, you counter-sue. But first, you need to be strong. You need to have a place in the market. When I hung up, my heart was racing. Was I going to start my own company? This was huge excitement for me. 40-8 years old, alone, with no entrepreneurial experience. But then I thought, hadn't Richard started from scratch once too? And hadn't I watched his every move for 12 years? I knew how to do it. It was just a matter of courage. Third step, financial research. How had Richard blocked my patent applications? I needed to find the answer to that question. I called an old friend, Daniel Kim. TechVista's former CFO, he'd left 2 years ago. Now doing independent consulting in San Francisco. Margaret, he said on the phone. It's been a long time. Is everything okay? No, Daniel. It's not, and I need your help. I explained the situation to him. Daniel was silent. Then he spoke in a low voice. Margaret, what Richard's doing is illegal. But at the same time, it's clever. He's using his lawyers to slow down patent applications. They keep sending objection petitions to the USPTO, the Patent Office. Each petition delays the process by 3 months. And meanwhile, Richard expedites his own application. How can I prove it? You need internal correspondence. Emails between the lawyers and Richard. But access to those files is difficult. Richard is very careful. I'll find them, I said, and I did, because I was very determined. A determined woman does what she sets her mind to. Sooner or later, that night at 2 a.m., I entered TechVista's office. No, it wasn't theft. I was still an employee. I still had my access card. I just decided to work late hours. Security guard Steve recognized me. Mrs. Cole, night shift. Yes, Steve, I said with a smile. Preparing a presentation. You know how it is. He laughed. You never rest. I went inside. The lights were off. The office was like a ghost town. My footsteps muffled on the carpet. I walked to Richard's office till his door was unlocked. It always was. From the outside, it gave an impression of confidence. But really, it was just arrogance. I sat at his desk, turned on his computer, his password. It should be predictable. Richard always used simple passwords. He'd once jokingly said on Slack, complex passwords are a waste of time. I tried TechVista 223wrong.osaa MP Bell 1979. Birth year wrong. Visionary leader bingo. I was in. My heart was pounding. My hands were sweating, but I didn't hesitate. I went straight to the legal folder and I found it. A PDF file. Patent strategy, venture lift acquisition plan. I opened it. Everything was written inside. Richard's correspondence with his lawyer. The strategies he used to block my applications. And most importantly, a note, critical, that Margaret Cole doesn't realize. Keep her distracted until the project is completely in our hands. Keep her distracted. My eyes filled with tears. But I didn't cry. This was an insult to me. I copied the file to my USB drive. Then I closed everything, cleared the desk. Left the office. I waved to Steve. Good night. Good night, Mrs. Cole. When I got in my car, I leaned against the steering wheel and took a deep breath. Now I have everything. I'm ready for everything. The next day, I went to Linda Hartman's office. I put the USB drive on her desk. It's all here, I said. Everything about how Richard strung me along. Linda examined the files. She looked at me over her glasses. Margaret, this means declaring war. Are you ready? I'm ready, I said. My voice was like steel. But I'm not going to court. I'm going to do something better. What's that? I smiled. For the first time in days, it was a genuine smile. I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to bring VentureLift to life. I'm going to launch it to the market. And Richard will watch my success. Because real justice is taken quietly. Linda nodded. Then let's get to work. That week, everything changed. I filled out the company formation papers. VentureLift Inc. was officially registered. I rented a small office in one of Austin's outer neighborhoods. Modest, but mine. 3 of my former teammates, talented developers, fed up with Richard, said they wanted to join me. Margaret, we want to work for you, said Jake, senior software developer. Richard's a boss. But you're a leader. The first prototype was ready in 3 weeks and that day. When I opened that file, the working fast, user-friendly VentureLift platform. It wasn't my heart that ran out. It was my patience. Now it was time for revenge. When VentureLift's first demo went online, the world was still sleeping. It was 6 in the morning. In our small office in Austin, Jake, Linda, and 2 developer friends were waiting at the screen with me. Our coffees had gone cold. Our eyes were locked on the screen. Pressing the launch button, Jake said. Press it. I said, click, click, VentureLift. Beta was now live. For the first 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then notifications started coming. 1 registration. 2 registrations. 5, 10, 20. Within an hour. 100 small business owners had registered on the platform. Linda smiled. Margaret, this is just the beginning. I knew. But still, I was trembling inside. Because Richard didn't know yet, but he would learn soon. 2 days later, Richard's assistant Joanna called me. Margaret, where are you? Aren't you coming to the office? Mr. Campbell is wondering about you. My voice was calm, cold. Joanna, I sent my resignation letter by email. I informed HR too. I'm no longer a Tech Vista employee. There was silence on the phone. Then Joanna's shocked voice, but why? What happened? I just started a new journey. Tell Richard I wish him well. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Richard called me. Margaret, his voice was tense. What does this mean? Resignation. After 12 years? Without even talking. Richard, I said slowly, I'm grateful to you. I learned a lot. But it's time for me to go my own way. Your own way. There was something in his voice, unease. What are you going to do? Where are you going? Don't worry, I said. Everyone will see soon. And I hung up at that moment. There was a strange feeling in my chest. Not fear, not anger, freedom. It was a perfect feeling. Have you ever felt something like this in your life? Living without depending on someone was a perfect feeling. Within a week, VentureLift's user count exceeded 1,000. Small business owners, independent entrepreneurs, freelancers, everyone was discovering the platform. Sharing started on social media. An article came out in TechCrunch. VentureLift, the AI tool empowering small businesses to compete like giants. And of course, Richard saw it. That morning, an email came from his lawyer. Dear Ms. Cole, on behalf of TechVista Solutions and Mr. Richard Campbell, we hereby issue a cease and desist notice. The VentureLift platform infringes upon proprietary technology developed under TechVista's intellectual property. You are required to shut down operations immediately or face legal action. My hands trembled, but I smiled because I was expecting this. I forwarded the email to Linda Hartman. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. Margaret, Richard has gone on the attack. But we're ready. We're filing our countersuit tomorrow. What will we claim? intellectual property theft, document manipulation, and most importantly, fraud. Every file Richard stole from you, every email will be evidence in court. Good, I said. Then let's begin. Richard's lawyers acted quickly. The court hearing was scheduled within 3 weeks. Travis County Courthouse, in the center of Austin, that massive building with white columns. When I stepped inside, I felt nauseous. But I didn't hesitate. Linda was with me. Sarah, my daughter, flew in from New York. Mom, I'll be there with you, she'd said on the phone. When I entered the courtroom, my excitement was at its peak. Richard was there too. His suit was impeccable. His hair was gelled. 2 lawyers were beside him. He looked at me, and for the first time I saw fear in his eyes. The judge was a middle-aged, serious woman, Judge Patricia Moreno. She looked at us over her glasses. Mr. Campbell, Ms. Cole. This case was filed on charges of intellectual property violation. Mr. Campbell, you are the plaintiff. Please explain. Richard's lawyer stood up. He gave a long presentation. He claimed that VentureLift stole TechVista's technology, that Margaret Cole violated her loyalty obligation, that she used company secrets. The judge listened. Then she turned to me. Double quotes, Ms. Cole, your defense. Linda stood up. Your Honor, our evidence shows that the actual thief is Mr. Campbell. Whispers rose in the courtroom. Linda placed the USB drive on the court desk. In this file are all the evidence that Mr. Campbell stole intellectual property from Ms. Cole. Emails, internal correspondence, patent manipulation strategies, all of it is here. Richard's face went white. The judge examined the USB drive. The files were projected on screen. Richard's correspondence with his lawyer, his plans for how he blocked my applications, the note saying, "Keep Margaret distracted," was all there. The courtroom fell into silence. The judge took off her glasses. She looked at Richard. Mr. Campbell, can you explain these documents? Richard stammered. Your Honor, these are documents taken out of context. Out of context. The judge's voice was sharp. It clearly says here, critical that Margaret Cole doesn't realize. What does this mean? Richard was silent. His lawyer tried to intervene. But the judge raised her hand. Enough. This case appears to be decided not in favor of the plaintiff, but in favor of the defendant. Mr. Campbell, you will answer. But first, we're taking a recess. During the break, Sarah hugged me in the hallway. Mom, you're incredible. I smiled. It's not over yet. But at that moment, Richard came up to me. His lawyers had stayed behind, just him and me, in the silence of the hallway. Margaret, he said. His voice cracked. Please, don't do this. Let's settle. I can give you money. As much as you want. I looked at him. That charismatic, powerful, all-controlling Richard Campbell now begging in front of me. Richard, I said quietly, I worked for you for 12 years. I stayed loyal. I trusted. And you threw me away like garbage. Now you come and offer money. Margaret, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Sorry. I smiled, but it was a bitter smile. Apologies don't change the past, Richard. But justice changes the future. I turned around, walked away. I heard his voice behind me, Margaret, please. But I didn't stop. When the hearing resumed, the judge announced her decision. The evidence clearly shows that Mr. Campbell committed intellectual property theft. The case against Ms. Cole is dismissed. Furthermore, Ms. Cole has the right to file a countersuit. Mr. Campbell will pay intellectual damages and surrender all rights to the VentureLift platform. Richard collapsed, literally. He slumped into his chair, but I stood up. Linda squeezed my hand. Sarah wiped her eyes. And at that moment, when our eyes met Richard and me for the last time, he finally understood who had won. When I walked out of the courthouse, the sun hit my face. Austin's streets were alive. Cars were passing, people were walking. Life was going on. But for me, everything was starting over. Sarah linked her arm with mine. Mom, I'm proud of you. Me too, I said. I'm proud of myself. And that morning, when the courtroom doors closed, nothing would ever be the same again, because real justice is silent, but its echo is eternal. The day we left the courthouse, Austin's sky was clear, blue, endless, clean, like the world had been reborn for me. Sarah linked her arm with mine. Linda followed behind us. As we descended the courthouse steps, there were reporters, cameras, microphones waiting for us. Mrs. Cole. Mrs. Cole. Will you make a statement? You won against Tech Vista. How do you feel? What do you think about Richard Campbell? I stopped. I looked at Sarah. She nodded. Mom, if you're ready, you can speak. I turned to the microphones. I took a deep breath. Today, I didn't just win a case here, I said. My voice was calm but determined. I won myself. For 12 years, I served someone else's vision. But now I'm living my own vision. VentureLift isn't just a platform. It represents the voice of every woman, every entrepreneur, every person working silently. No one can steal your idea. No one can take your future from your hands. Justice is sometimes silent, but in the end, it always wins. Reporters took notes. Cameras flashed, and I just smiled. For the first time, with a genuine, comfortable, free smile, without depending on anyone, freely. After that night, everything changed rapidly. VentureLift's user count exploded. The court decision went viral on social media. #JusticeForMargaret was trending on Twitter. I received thousands of messages on LinkedIn from women entrepreneurs, young developers, retired professionals. Margaret, you're my hero. When I read your story, I couldn't hold back my tears. I went through something similar, but I couldn't find your courage. Now I'm taking action too. I signed up for Venture. I'm proud to be your first customer. I read every message one by one. In each one was pain, hope, strength. And I realized this wasn't just my story. This was the story of everyone who works silently, suffers injustice, but finally stands up. A month later, VentureLift Inc. officially received its seed investment, a total of $2.5 million, from 3 different investment funds, all of them funds that supported women entrepreneurs. When the contract was signed, we had a small celebration in our office. Jake, Linda, Sarah, and the newly joined team members, we were all together. Margaret, Linda said, holding a champagne glass. When you came to me on the first day, there was anger inside you. Now when I look at you, I only see peace. Congratulations. Thank you, Linda, I said. But this is just the beginning. Jake laughed. The beginning. Margaret, you're already a legend. I smiled. I'm not a legend. I just learned to believe in myself. Sarah hugged me. Mom, when you divorced Dad, I was scared. I thought you'd be alone. But you were never alone, because your own strength was always inside you. My eyes filled with tears. But this time, from happiness to months later, I received an email. Sender, Richard Campbell. Subject, apology. I stared at the screen for a long time. Should I open it? Or should I delete it? Sarah was beside me. Mom, what happened? An email from Richard. Are you going to open it? I hesitated, then clicked. Margaret, I know you might not read this email. You have every right. But I had to write. For the past 3 months, I've been living through the darkest period of my life. TechVista's board removed me from the CEO position. Investors lost confidence. The court decision echoed everywhere, and I'm alone. But what really hurts is my conscience. When I first met you, I genuinely thought you were a good person, loyal, smart, passionate. But then arrogance took over me. I thought nobody can succeed without me, and I used you. I know it's too late to apologize, but I still wanted to say it. I'm sorry, Margaret. Truly sorry. I hope VentureLift succeeds. Because you deserve it. Richard, when I finished the email, I felt conflicted inside. Did I feel anger? No, pity a little, but mostly I felt peace, because Richard's apology didn't matter to me anymore. I hadn't won his forgiveness, I'd won my own. Sarah asked, "Are you going to reply?" I shook my head. No need to reply. Because I've already closed that chapter. And I deleted the email. 6 months later, VentureLift platform reached 50,000 users. Forbes put me on its cover. Margaret Cole, the woman who turned Betrayal into a $10 million startup. $10 million valuation. We'd started as a small company, but now we were a serious player. Big investors were knocking on our door. Offers were coming from Silicon Valley, but I'm still in Austin. Still in that small office? At my desk where sunlight filters through the window and my coffee's aroma fills the air. One day, Jake came in excitedly. Margaret, big news. What happened? Tech Vista Solutions is up for sale. The board decided to liquidate the company. They're looking for a buyer. My heart raced. Seriously? Yes. And VentureLift, have the purchasing capacity. If you want, we can do this. I stopped. By Tech Vista. The company that tried to destroy me. The company that belittled me for years. Saw me as just support staff. Now it wanted to be mine. We held a board meeting, Jake. Linda, Sarah, and our newly joined financial advisor. Everyone was sitting at the table. Margaret, Linda said, this could be an emotional decision, but strategically it makes sense. Tech Vista has a large customer base. If you integrate them into VentureLift, you could double your user count. Jake added, also, Richard's not there anymore. The new CEO is temporary. The company is weak. The price is low. It could be a good investment. Sarah looked at me. Mom, what do you think? I took a deep breath. Tech Vista tried to destroy me, I said. But I survived. Now buying them might look like revenge. But it's not. This is justice. Everyone listens silently. Because Tech Vista isn't Richard's company anymore, there are dozens of innocent people working there. I don't want them to lose their jobs. This acquisition will offer them a new future and bring me new customers. Linda smiled. Then the decision is made. 3 weeks later, VentureLift Inc. officially acquired Tech Vista Solutions. Purchase price, $8 million. The news exploded like a bomb in the tech world. The ultimate comeback. Margaret Cole buys the company that betrayed her. From victim to victor, how one woman built an empire from ashes. Tech Vista falls. VentureLift rises. The Margaret Cole story. At the acquisition ceremony, I entered the old Tech Vista office, the building where I'd worked for 12 years. But this time, I was the owner. Employees had gathered. Everyone was anxious, worried. Who's this new boss? What will she do? I walked to the microphone. Looked at the room. Hello, I said. My name is Margaret Cole. Some of you know me, because I worked here too, for 12 years. I walked these hallways. I sat at these desks, and I gave everything to this company. Silence. But then I was betrayed, and I left. I started my own company, and today I came back here. But not for revenge, for justice. An employee asked, "Are you going to fire us?" I shook my head. No, I'm not firing anyone, because you're not the villains of this story. You're all just honest people chasing your daily bread, taking care of your families. I just want to offer a better future. Tears, applause, hugs, and at that moment, my heart filled, because this wasn't just an acquisition. This was liberation. After that night, my life completely changed. VentureLift was no longer just a startup. It was a movement. We launched mentorship programs for women entrepreneurs. We offered free consulting on intellectual property law. And every month, under the name Silent Justice Award, we honored an entrepreneur struggling. Silently, Sarah finished law school and became VentureLift's chief legal counsel. Linda retired, but still works with us as a consultant. Jake became the company's CTO, and as CEO, every morning when I enter the office, I watch the sunlight filtering through the window. A year later, I ran into Richard. It was by chance. I was shopping at Whole Foods. He was there too. His basket only had a few things. His hair was messy. No suit, just a t-shirt and jeans. Our eyes met. We both paused. Then he approached. Margaret. Richard, how are you? I'm good, I said. You, he shrugged. Getting by. Started a small consulting company. Modest, but honest. I nodded. Good. Silence. Then Richard spoke. Margaret, I know I said it before, but I want to say it again. I'm sorry, truly. I looked at him. That charismatic, powerful, arrogant Richard was gone. There was just a tired man. Ritra, I said slowly. I forgave you long ago. For myself. Not for you. I understand. But know this. You taught me the biggest lesson. Not that I shouldn't trust anyone, but that I should trust myself. Richard bowed his head. I hope you're happy. I am, I said. For the first time, I'm truly happy. And I left, without looking back. That night, I sat on my home's balcony. Austin's nightscape stretched before me. Lights, cars, the flow of life. I had a cup of tea in my hand. Warm, soothing, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Mom, there's a meeting tomorrow morning. New investors are coming. Are you ready? I smiled. I'm ready, sweetheart. I'm always ready. After I hung up, I looked at the sky. The stars were shining. And at that moment, I heard a voice inside me. You did it, Margaret. You won. But no. Winning wasn't the right word. I was liberated from betrayal, from anger, from pain, and most importantly, from the past. Real. Justice wasn't taking revenge. Real justice was being able to walk with peace today. VentureLift serves over 100,000 users. I'm still the CEO. I still wake up early every morning, make my coffee. Go to my office, but not for anyone else anymore. I work for myself. If you've also been betrayed, suffered injustice, endured pain silently, know that you're not alone. And know this. When does a woman become powerful? When she stops being afraid. Real justice is silent, but its echo lasts for years. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe so more stories of justice can be heard, because every woman has a story, and every story is a victory.